good afternoon. Happy Labor Day. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax. It broke earlier today that a federal judge has okayed the appointment of a special master to screen the documents seized by the FBI in that unprecedented raid of President Trump's home. The third-party arbiter should be able to determine if the current regime or the government has any claim to these documents. We'll also get an idea of just how many times the Department of Justice violated President Trump's rights every time they seized a privileged document in violation of the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. We'll wait and see. Meanwhile, the country is still reeling after Joe Biden claimed that all of those who do not subscribe to his America Last vision for the United States are enemies of our country. The left is cranking up the rhetoric in an effort to give our compromised institutions an excuse to undertake a violent crackdown on Americans' right to dissent with our very own government. The left's promotion of a civil war, that's the focus of today's preamble. We began with Biden's new brain, the White House press secretary. After Joe Biden declared those who disagree with him as a threat to the United States, the press wanted to know what concrete steps the government was going to take to remove that threat. In typical word salad fashion, the press secretary went on a 3-minute diatribe, only saying that Joe Biden's actions were Americans having their voices heard at the ballot box. We shortened the interaction so you could get the gist of it.
Hey, great. The president last night argued very forcefully that democracy is under assault, but what kind of concrete actions does he actually plan to take, given that he described this essentially as a fairly existential threat to the American Republic?
So, as you also heard from the president yesterday, he believes we're at an inflection point. I'm gonna move around. You've asked 3 questions. No, you've asked 3 questions.
First question.
I did. No. I answered the first question. You just. I had to just dive in a little bit more, but I certainly answered it because I said making your voices heard is a powerful tool.
Okay, well, yeah, he had to ask 3 times. She still wouldn't answer the question. So Joe Biden's actions are other people making their voices heard. Got it? In other words, those who want to make America great are such a threat to the United States that the regime will do nothing to stop that threat. Why? Because the threat doesn't exist. Freedom lovers are not a threat to America. They are only a threat to the unchallenged power of totalitarian leftists in the Democrat Party and the Biden regime. Even though the clueless press secretary seemed to understand that threatening a violent crackdown on those who oppose left-wing extremism doesn't play very well in election years, the folks over at MSNBC were not encumbered by such considerations. They are jonesing over there for a civil war.
Days, it feels like we are not just at the brink of a civil war, but that one has already begun. So Trump supporters are already speaking the language of violence. They're threatening the FBI, the DOJ, the state itself, and this is all as they defend their dear leader. Now, it's more than just threats, though. Their rhetoric has already led to actual violence, and there is likely more to come. And I don't need to remind you how the MAGA mob sacked the Capitol on January 6th in an effort to overturn the 2020 election. Now, some of these people are now candidates for office, looking to run our elections and, quite frankly, our government.
Civil war. Civil war. If you disagree with a Democrat, it's civil war. One guy goes after an FBI office and it indicts 2/3 of our country who are opposed to Joe Biden. But 2 years of BLM and Antifa riots, looting, burning, beating, and killing, oh, that wasn't at all an indictment on Democrats, right? On that very same network, left-wing extremist Roland Martin, he kept up the Civil War drumbeat. Watch.
Pastor Charles Jenkins has an intro to his song War, where he says, when the enemy is coming at you, you can't fall down, you can't break down. This means war. That is where we are. We are at war with these people.
Okay, but the Democrats have been pushing for a civil war for some time now. We have all of their calls for violence on tape.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
When he came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers, he said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
And then their dear leader, Joe Biden, you just saw him there, using the imprimatur of the White House and the United States Marine Corps, signals his intent to target those who oppose him, those who threaten his total grip on power.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards.
And all of this is being done so as to give Joe Biden and his regime an excuse to clamp down on the vast majority of the country, suspend the Constitution, and avoid the electoral reckoning that Democrats have so richly earned. Our pal Wayne Allen Root writes about this today. Biden clearly wants a civil war. Don't take the bait, Wayne says. Just think about the two-tier justice system we're currently plagued with. All of the violence and damage done by BLM and Antifa were ignored. But as MSNBC showed, just one incident that can be tied tangentially to the America First movement will be all the excuse the corrupt DOJ and the press need to indict and clamp down on any dissent. They are pushing and waiting for someone to give them an excuse, confident they control the narrative. So what then is our course? Well, I have to admit that because the conservative America First movement wants to preserve the Constitution and the rule of law, our path to victory is much narrower than the Socialist and the Democrat Party. Remember, if we lose all of our rights, the Democrats win. If the country is thrown into a civil war and foreign enemies take us down from without, the Democrats also win. We need only look to our top story, though, President Trump using the rule of law and the Constitution to restrain a lawless government for our path forward. We, the people, should elect strong conservatives, not weak surrender caucus Republicans like Mitch and Kev. We should organize. We should fight back using the very Constitution the Democrats despise. Remember how Biden's new brain cowered when the press called her out for alleging a threat that doesn't exist, then having no legal recourse to deal with that fake news threat? That's what we have to do. We got to push back and not stop demonstrating the Democrats and the Biden regime are the perpetrators of the very things they're accusing others of doing. And we don't give up. Remember, the very underpinnings of Democrat politics is socialism and communism. That's the origin. They don't share power. They're all dictators at heart. And that means our best and most significant advantage has been and remains the fact that we outnumber them.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. September is historically the worst performing month for the stock market, so you better be ready for it. The Fed continues to aggressively raise rates, and JP Morgan is forecasting another mega rate hike September the 21st. Is that why Jamie Dimon said an economic hurricane is coming our way? Well, gold and silver have remained remarkably stable despite the Fed aggressively raising rates today. The Patriot Gold Group has a special incentive for Newsmax viewers. Huge! Now precious metals investors can enjoy the no-fee-for-life gold and silver IRA on qualifying rollovers, or enjoy free, discreet, insured shipping on all direct gold and silver purchases. Here's the number, 800-356-4470. Call 800-356-4470 today.